Alright! Hello, everybody! Hello, Void Dealer Doors, Armagus Olga T! Sorry for the late start, but welcome back to RB Axolotl. Yes, I think I'm getting it. I think I'm getting it. Oh my god, you guys. I did not expect to love this game as much as I am! Oh my god, you guys! So, I've just been, like, counting the minutes. Honestly, hello, Ank. I want to learn more about you until the next time I get to play this game. Like, I did not expect to get this much into it, you guys. Oh my god! I've been thinking about Ank and Liam, like, so much. It's like, what is their deal? Like, how are they connected? It's like, I think there's a clue there in, like, so when Ank was hit, when Liam was hit, Ank got hurt as well. So that leads me to believe that, I don't know, Ank and Liam, like, share that kind, like a magical connection of some kind. What if that's why Ank was hurting themselves? Like, slamming against the tank. What if that's why? Because Ank knew that hurt Liam as well. So, or what if that was one of the sources of Liam's discomfort? And, what if that's why Ank did that? Like, to try to hurt Liam? So, like, yeah, they definitely have some kind of... And that also would kind of explain the pills thing. Like, maybe that might have been metaphorical, because when Liam was being a hypochondriac, like, with the pills, what if Ank felt that too? And Ank was getting, like, really bad effects from all these pills that human Liam was taking. Hello, Charachters. Welcome to the stream. Seriously. So, yeah, that's my current theory, and I am so fucking hyped. Let's get back into it. Hutsa! Actuary, R&D. These 3 months for the first half of their calendar. Oh, I'm so sorry, T. But there are still 2 we haven't talked about yet. Month 4, beautification. I'm guessing Lana named that one. The 4th month of each year was called beautification. This month was curated by Lana, yet the axolotl in the tank was concerned with aesthetic. The theme of this month was appreciating the beauty around them. But really, it was just an excuse to focus their efforts on decorating. They used this month to make their living space breathable and beautiful, placing new decorations everywhere and tinkering with the bright colors showcased all across the tank. It was a good sister month to R&D, which is all about creating new innovations using the plants and getting the tank messy with materials for the sake of triumph. At one point, Neo likened it to an art appreciation month, which had slightly displeased Lana. She thought of it more as a way to cultivate their surroundings. To give them peace for the rest of the year. Oh, I am so sorry, T. Sure, Gaia. No problem. We're totally chill. Let's see what happens. This is supposed to be the golden age anyway, so hopefully it'll be a very relaxing and fun episode, hopefully. Hopefully that statement won't come back to bite me in the ass. Apparition said he was a bit tired today. And, Olga, you're way too nice to me. And, he said we could probably get to the beginning of chapter 4 today, so yep, trying to get there. In other words, a clean room is a happy room. By putting in the minimum amount of work during this month, they could look around the tank and breathe a sigh of relief at how neat and organized everything looked. They might not have adored beautification while it was going on, because it was often hard, boring work, but they were always happy they had done it afterwards. And hey, they need something to do. The first to the third of beautification month was the big maintenance period. Systematically, they would go over each of their creations, from the tallest tower to the stadium. Oh my god! Wow! They built a whole stadium for RP? Oh my god, that is so cool. For their role-playing, I really hope we see their D&D sessions. We gotta see at least one. And fill in the places that had started to decay or were losing leaves. I really want to see that. Missing leaves could happen for a few reasons, including age, but the most common cause was the triplets. Yeah. They are sus AF. I don't think they're even true axolotls. They just seem like, I don't know, robots almost, like to just clean up debris and like do the bidding of RB. During their hour of being awake, zipping from here to there, the triplets would oftentimes fly into structures due to their unbridled puppy-like energy. At first it annoyed everyone, and they attempted to stop his behavior in various ways. But as usual, the triplets didn't listen, and so the adults learned to live with the occasional hole in the wall until they could devote time for maintenance. A unique super system of beautification was that when products were started and stopped all throughout the year. It was an especially lucky omen for building to be finished during this month. Oh, cool! Buildings! Oh, wow! They made a whole fucking town, I bet! This is because historically, during some of the structures they were mostly proud of, such as a huge swimming pool of ground-up plants, oh my god! And the giant roller coaster! Which lifted them all the way from the bottom of the tank to the top, had all ended construction during this month. Oh god. They're making it a paradise. Aside from the maintenance period, there was one more holiday during this month. A more somber one. Liam Memorial Day. Aww. The 14th of beautification. It was on this day, in the third year, that they had begun creating their calendar in earnest. On this day, they would each go one by one to the statue they had erected of Liam during one of the very early years of the tank. Sometimes they would sit above the arm that was buried there. Other times, they would focus and try to remember the scant number of conversations they may have had with Liam all those years ago. Aww. They barely had time with him. But regardless, the green axolotl was never forgotten. Not even for 1 year. That is so sweet. And of course, by remembering him, by proxy, they would also remember Egg, because their fates are intertwined. There were times, several times in fact, where they embroiled in other activities, such as lengthy role-playing campaigns. Come on, Acta, you better show at least one. Seriously, or working on technological advances. That various other holidays were skipped out of laziness or forgetfulness. The Liam Memorial Day was the most sentimental holiday they made, and even when arguments occurred, as they occasionally did, everyone put aside all differences to remember this day. And it is here that we peer into another short, isolated fragment of time. This was a conversation they had about Egg for the first time in a long time, on the 14th of beautification, in the 21st year after they had emerged from the void. '21 AV Memorial Day. Oftentimes, as the years passed, they would visit the memorial separately, one by one, but occasionally they would head there together. The year 21 was one of those occasional years in which they headed the statue together. At the time, they were hard at work on a big lift system. Do they even need lifts? They could just swim everywhere. One which they prophesied would change the way they moved around the tank forever. This is so cool. The construction had grown exponentially larger for the past few years. The project's grander and more time-consuming. Yes, seriously. They're all getting like their engineering degrees here. The amount of plants had become cluttered, though, and there were times where it became somewhat of a challenge to go from one corner to another. The lift system would change all of that. It was similar in design to a human ski lift. It would be built on rails and using perpetual motion. What? It would take them leisurely to their work sites. How do they do that? The project ended up being a giant failure a half a year later. Ah. But they did not know this at the time. They worked on it tirelessly from dawn till dusk. A holiday soon arrived, a chance for a break. A yearly obligation to remember the old times. It's beautiful outside, isn't it? I'm sure he'd appreciate today. Do they have weather in the tank?
Well, you say that every year, but yes. I'm sure he would.
There was silence for some time as they contemplated their thoughts. Eventually, Oxy spoke up.
Hey guys! This is a little hard to bring up, but I don't want to ruin the good vibes we got going on lately.
Axie, we've noticed something has been off with you for days now. What is it already?
Yeah, come on! We know it's not something that bad.
Right. It's something to do with the memorial, isn't it?
Yeah, so spill it, you big dummy.
Alright. There's a name I've been thinking of. A name we haven't talked about for a long time now.
You don't mean...
I do. The forbidden one.
Enk. I think of him often too. Especially around this time of the year. They all saw it in unison. From time to time, Liam's name would get brought up, but they had all consciously avoided saying Enk's name for a while now. Even when he was more of a distant memory than ever. They had all known that this conversation would happen one day.
You know, it's weird, you guys. Lately, I've been having dreams about that time, all those years ago. For a long time, those dreams were scary nightmares. But, strangely, somehow over time, they become sort of pleasant. You know, us fighting a giant evil boss together. A noble, heroic sacrifice to get him out of our lives for good. We all worked together to hurt him. That was pretty badass, if you think of it in the right light. In a way that's hard to describe. I don't know what to think, you guys. It's not like I've forgotten how rotten Enk was. Or what I did to him.
Yes, I've had a nightmare or two in my time as well. But just like you, over the years they've mostly stopped.
Lana breathed in and out, then looked up at them. I've also had dreams involving everyone. Even Ink. They're not bad dreams either. I should hate him with every ounce of my body. He called me terrible names, threatened me, and even injured me. He was only around for a very short part of our lives. And yet, I can't forget him. I can't bring myself to hate him either, even though I know what he did was so bad it could have been unforgivable. Should have been unforgivable.
Why don't we talk about him? Honestly, say whatever is on our minds regarding Ink and Liam. Ha 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 ha.
La 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 la.
Blah 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 blah.
Blah blah blah. Blah. Blah.
Blah. Blah, 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 blah.
And so they talked. For a long time that day they talked. Well into the dead of night. They talked about what happened years ago. Talked about their memories of the days when they had to deal with Ink violently. And how it made them all feel. It was refreshing to finally let out some of the anxieties they had been keeping locked up for what felt like forever.
If only Ink had played nicely with us. He proved that he couldn't coexist with us twice.
Even people like him. My heart said he must have had a point of view that made sense to him. Maybe he wasn't the bad guy in his own mind. Stupid as that sounds. Yeah, it's like group therapy, it's doors, yeah. But maybe not. Some people are rotten to the core. I really want to find out more about Ink. Regardless, it's not healthy for us to hold hatred in our hearts for so long. Periodically, Mia would glance over at the void. As if talking about Ink would make the void suddenly remember to spit him out. All these memories. I'm starting to remember things about Liam I haven't thought of in ages, too. Happy thoughts are flooding back. And it's nice. It's nice to revisit a part of yourself you hadn't hung out with in a while.
I agree. I feel bad about what happened between us. But ultimately, I don't regret my decision. I mean, Ink was pretty much a psychopath. Even when I lost my head back then to rage. I was just trying to protect you, Lana.
Oh, I know that, Axie. I've known that for years, maybe even since the very start. And I'm sorry with how I scorned you back then.
Oh, it's okay, Lana. That was years ago. It wasn't a black and white situation by any means. And, well, I'd like to think that if the same thing happened again, I'd be able to control my temper. You know, in those years of my youth, I was really quite obsessed with you.
Axie, character development. Well, who wouldn't be?
Maybe I was even a little too obsessed with you back then. But it felt natural for whatever reason.
There's gotta be some... What is the connection of Axie and Lana? I really want to know that. Like, did they have human forms as well?
So let me apologize.
Don't worry about it, Axie. You don't even need to apologize for something so far in the past. And you didn't really do anything bad with that either, so it's cool. still love the heck out of you no matter what.
I love you too. Just not in the weird obsessed way like when I was a kid.
A kid.
Looks like we've gotten over quite a few obsessions. All of us.
Wow, everything's peaceful. Oh God, I hate to see what breaks this peace. Oh God. Oh man. Over the past 2 decades, their relationships were fortified as they grew closer as a family. To Axie, each of them was unforgettable, irreplaceable. Each of them were. I think it should be each of them were unforgettable, irreplaceable people who would even become a part of his own identity. He realized as the years went on. With Lana, it was a deeper bond than Axie could have ever hoped for. A bond only people who were intimately close might have. He felt an extremely similar feeling with Neo as well. Neo was someone he could trust with his life, no question asked. Oh, their family. Oh yeah, totally Void Dweller. That is so sweet.
Seeing how you guys have become my family, well, I knew it would have happened with Liam too if he was still here with us.
Absolutely.
I remember thinking, hoping, even back then, I wish it could have happened with Hank too. And hey, maybe when the triplets learn how to talk, still crossing my fingers that they're late bloomers, I know we can become just as close. We know we aren't gonna forget Liam. But I don't want to forget Hank either. Being completely forgotten is just too sad. Heck, I don't think I can forget the old Galoot even if I tried.
If anything, it's a lesson to be learned. A way to educate the kids on what not to do.
You are correct. History is a gift to us from those in the past, so we may learn from their actions.
I've got an idea. But I almost feel bad for saying it aloud. I'm gonna say it anyway. Are they gonna make an Enk memorial? What if we renamed Liam Memorial Day to just Memorial Day? Liam's memorial stays up, of course, and he remains the focus. The symbolic mascot of the day, if you will. But instead of just him, we could use this holiday to celebrate everyone who has left this tank. And all those who might leave it in the future. The other two were briefly dumbfounded. Time was relative. Even though I think they're pretty much immortal, but since nobody seems to age in this tank. Well, physically, I mean. Even though there have been numerous calendar changes in the past, in the year 21 things have been stable for a while now. Liam is still the focus. But maybe once in a while we could go to Enk's Corner and pay his remains a visit. We still need to hope that turns out to be good.
I'm fine with that, Lana. We've been avoiding that spot for far too long.
I like it too. A splendid idea.
Time heals all wounds, I guess. And so it was that from that day onwards, Liam Memorial Day was changed to simply Memorial Day. With this anecdote out of the way, our tale begins to accelerate once again. We still don't know what the last month is, do we? Intermission 3. I really hope this is some kind of RP session. Ooh, SpongeBob time. This music is either from SpongeBob or Fata Morgana. I know it's not really, but that's what it reminds me of. We've covered 4 months so far. Putza, Actuary, RD, and Beautification. That leaves one more month in our 5-month calendar not yet talked about. There isn't a proper way to give a complete title to this month. Upon conception of the calendar, its name was originally Kids Month. Yeah. Oh, interesting. For the book author. But eventually the name of the book of the month was changed to Gaps. This name change was to be temporary, of course. Just as holidays are removed, refined, and rewritten, so is this month and its theme. The original idea was Kids Month was to dedicate the month to the next generation. That is to say, the triplets. They hope as the kids got older, the month would be associated with the values of family, thanks, and giving. But after 20 years or so, apparently the kids weren't growing up as much as they would have liked. They looked and acted the same as they had since the day they arrived in the tank. Yeah, I don't think they're actually like them. Yeah. While time was always moving forward, everyone's biological state in the tank remained unchanged. Well, that's kind of terrifying for the kids, if they are truly kids. With a few special occasions as exceptions, kids would only be up for that single hour each day, swimming wildly around the tank, eating grass, and then sleeping yet again. They did not need to be taken care of in any way. Indeed, the adults could go weeks without seeing them if they happened to be busy. A lot of the time, most of the time even, it was like the triplets weren't even there. Even though Kids Month was temporarily changed to Gaps, they never forgot to celebrate Kids Day from year 3 onwards. Kids Day took place on the 18th of month 5, on the anniversary where those 3 emerged from the void. All throughout the year, the adults would visit them periodically. On Kids Day, they would spend every single second of the hour they could with the triplets. They spent running around the tank at high, exhausting speeds. Oh god, do I know that? Oh my god. And attempting to keep up with the unexpected turns or abrupt plant-eating sessions that the triplets were prone to. Oh boy. Over the years, they tried many other ways of getting the kids' attention, of course. They tried holding a surprise party around one of the spots they frequented. Triplets ran through this completely. They tried gently touching the kids with their hands, as if touch allowed them to bond with each other. They backed away whenever another axolotl touched their clammy, cold skin. Ooh. That's kind of unnerving. On one occasion, actually attempted to physically tackle one of the triplets so they would stay still. It's a form of play wrestling, but the triplets seemed angry afterwards. They did not like being touched. Their bodies were jelly-like, squishy, unlike the adults who had hardened forms. Even while they were sleeping for those long stretches of the day, if any of the adults tried touching the babies, they would immediately begin squirming in their sleep and break free. It was better to leave them be. Last thing they wanted to do was make the babies uncomfortable after all. Rara, and Lee generally knew when the adults were there, acknowledged their presence with their actions and grunts. Didn't seem to care one way or another when they saw them or not. Yeah, instead of children of the same race, the babies felt more like pets. Pets who merely tolerated their owner, not the loyal friend type. They seemed happy enough swimming around the tank, eating their plants, dreaming their long dreams, and exercising intensely during their hour awake. It seemed less a major part of Axolotl and Neo's lives than they originally promised to be. So after a great number of years, Kids Month would seem appropriate for the name of the month. Yeah, they seem like another species rather than children. But what was something they did on the 5th month without fail? They read their favorite story together and talked about it. Ended up always reading everything. My discovery of the Ryoko show during this month. That was a story you may recall of Dr. Gatz, professor of archaeology, his findings of an ancient tribe worship god known as Everything. I wonder if they based their RPs on this. I really hope they show us one of their D&D sessions. Seriously, I really want to see that. As described before, the book took a disturbing turn in the second half with all sorts of strange imagery, visions, and mishaps as the god known as the Ryokosho wreaked havoc on his life. It was a book open-ended enough to encourage speculation on what actually happened. Also the book where Neo had found one of the notes from RB. Over time, Lana warmed up to the idea that this was fascinating. There were other books they read. The original days, a few were action-oriented, a few escaping series into some sci-fi, and nearly a half dozen detective stories. Holy shit, they have so much material to base like D&D sessions on. But none had the same allure as the Ryokosho book. Over time, the story ended up being something they did once a year. Even though it had once spooked Axie, probably got used to it. The sea of glowing hieroglyphics in the cave Dr. Gatz found. The nightmares. The mutilation. Ooh. But what was most fascinating of all, it had no conclusion. Was the entity haunting Dr. Gatz and his Ryokosho all in his mind? It felt like there were layers of mystery there. And after each reading, they would engage in theory talk and discussion. Oh my god! Perhaps some of the visions were symbolic. Perhaps some were nonsense. The end of the story implied that Dr. Gatz was erased from all existence by this entity, the Ryokosho. The vast majority of the story was in the journal format. The very end was a faculty list during one of the years Dr. Gatz taught. With his name strangely absent. Yeah, that's to show he'd been erased. Debates on the meaning of the story raged on for years. Lana said that if they really erased him, every action he made since childhood, every reaction he had put into the world, and every student he had taught, that was too sad. Dang. I love this. Seriously, I could totally see what Acta's doing. He's like, God, Acta, you're so badass. Oh, wow. Even though Dr. Gatz was likely a fictional character, even though he was painted as somewhat of a jerk to his students and colleagues, you couldn't help but feel sorry for him. Wow. So, they made their last month after him. Maybe he was forgotten in the story, but he wasn't forgotten to them. And besides, the name change was going to be temporary. Just until the kids got older. If they even ever did. It was an annual thing to read the story of the 23rd each year. They eventually named this day Everything Day. So even if they changed the month, they would never change the day. At some point they thought it'd be fun to incorporate the Judeo-Christian tradition of giving gifts to each other, which they would do before reading the story each holiday. The last and final holiday of the year was Void's Day Eve, which took place on the last day of the year. Oh god, really? My voice is too loud. Oh god, I am so sorry. I hate it when this happens. Let me see if I can fix it. Like, no, it's at its highest. Nothing has changed. Son of a bitch. Let me see if I can fuck with some microphone settings. Oh, it sounds fine for you, Olga. Oh, Void Dweller, can you hear okay? Let me see. It's a really good microphone, though. Where's the microphone again? God damn it. Is it okay for everybody else? Can y'all hear me okay? Oh, or is it too low? God damn it. Oh, okay, so yeah, I think it's just on your end, Gayatris. I'm sorry. Which took place on the last day of the year, the 30th of Gats. This holiday was a simple one that seemed to summarize our whole lives into one event. It was an excuse to hold a massive party with dancing, tricks, oh sorry, let me turn the music slightly lower. And all sorts of other events. Then went on tirelessly into the night. And on the following evening on Void Day, the first of Hutsa, they would hold a nice dinner to start off the next year on a good note. With that, you now know more or less the calendar that the Axolotls followed their whole lives. There were some minor revisions here and there, even some holidays and traditions that we haven't talked about. They tested out but never stuck. But for the most part, these were the 5 months which dictated their lives. Although, there were some periods of time, some lasting even a year or more, when the calendar didn't seem to matter much at all. Special occasions such as Memorial Day, Everything Day, and Void Day were often kept, but some of the other less important holidays were not celebrated. So what were they doing that was so important that they just ignored what's there in calendar? RP, come on! Dungeons and Dragons! Dungeons and Dragons! Yes! 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 The answer is special long-form games that they immerse themselves into completely. Yes! Come on! These long stretches of time were among their favorite pastimes at the height of the Golden Age. Many of these are long role-playing campaigns, which they created an entire universe for, complete with set pieces to go along with them. Oh hell the fuck yeah! Although it's gotta be a bit sad with the, one GM and only 2 players. Some of the campaigns they played only lasted for a few months. But a couple were so grand they lasted multiple years. They created imaginary cities and armies, and would roleplay their respective characters growing up, training, getting married, in some cases getting older, and eventually dying. These campaigns that the 3 Axolotls indulged in made their time in the tank feel longer than it did. They lived as their characters for nigh a century! That is so cool! And sometimes it felt like they've lived multiple lives as multiple identities. They went on quests, they formed all sorts of relationships, good and evil. They created armies to battle one another, made their imaginary universe had biomes ranging from steampunk to sci-fi to modern city life to fantasy. Sometimes they base these long games on real-life properties, sort of stuff they read to each other during the night. But other times the world would be entirely created by them respectively. They lived and breathed into these characters during the height of their enjoyment, going to sleep in their imaginations and real playing as they woke up throughout the day. They experienced plot twists of all flavors, dark endings where the hero died and the villain won, happy stories where long-lost lovers reunite after centuries of searching. Sometimes, after a particularly good campaign, they would sleep together, cuddled up in a handmade blanket, where Neo told them in-universe fables he made up. Stories he told were sometimes realistic, sometimes fantastical in nature. Some were about far-off lands made of clouds. Others were about a man named Mark and all his goofy adventures. A few were spooky, and others were political in nature. Hey, happy days, welcome to the stream. Some stories lasted one evening, and other epics lasted a year, being told each night for days on end. Stories of every genre, every shape, and every existence. Lana and Axie lived for those tales, considered them the most entertaining and brightest parts of their days. Soon enough, the two of them made their own stories, being written on the seemingly endless supply of paper that Neo owned. Yeah, where did he get all this paper? And like pencils to write with, or pens. They would go from one to another, Axie, Lana to Axie to Neo, and regale each other well into the dead of night, so they would take turns being the DM. Each of them loved this, adored this. The two were not the tellers at any given time, would theorize and talk during the day about where they thought the story was. I'm sorry, this is just so amazing and cool. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is so cool. It was in this way, through stories and innovations, holidays and role-playing campaigns, that they made their way through eternity. Axie, Neo, and Lana all lived long, fruitful lives together. They swam, they danced, they played, they built, and they enjoyed each other's warmth and company. They went on adventures in the tank which had once been so devoid, they threatened to call it boring. They built things to utilize the small space to its fullest potential. But even if it felt like it at the time, nothing is forever. Oh God. Even if a stretch of life feels endless, everything is finite, and everything must eventually end. Oh God. Something had been building up a long time, and in the year 44 AV, it finally exploded, along with the rest of the... Did the tank explode? Oh no. Oh God. The first murmurs of them realizing something was going awry happened in the year 33 AV, on the 4th of R&D month. Oh God, is there going to be an apocalypse? The first murmurs of their demise. Oh no. It wasn't some catastrophic event that first spelled out their demise. The first time they talked seriously about the end of their lives came from a calm observation. Is it about the tank? I didn't get to. Happy days, I'm sorry. It was during this part of R&D month, in the 33rd year after they emerged from the void, that Neo was putting the final touches on his invention for Innovation Day. Most months he spent away from the lab, either sleeping in another corner after construction was done for the day, or in a long engrossing role-playing campaign. It felt nice on occasion to be back in the old lab, neatly unchanged by time, to work on a scientific project. Working and toiling on this average day, he heard a knock on the door.
Hold on, let me just put a cover on this. No peeking. Okay, come in. Ah, Lana. What's up?
Hey, Neo. Not too much. Well, okay, that's a lie. Hey. This might seem pretty random, but there's something I want to ask you about. Have you noticed anything odd about the tank lately? Oh no. Anything that's never happened in the entire time we've been living here?
What do you mean? I'm guessing by the tone of your voice that you're not talking about the stadium pillars that the kids ran through yesterday, huh? You know, the tank has been feeling a little cold to me lately. Maybe we'll start to finally have seasons. I mean, we've been living here for ages now, and there hasn't been a single wind of winter.
Oh my god. Oh god. Too funny.
How nuts is that? Could you imagine going over 10 years without a single wind of winter? It's unimaginable.
I'm serious, Neo. Why don't you come with me? And I'll show you what I'm talking about. The way Lana looked today, her expression this morning, it was especially troubling. It was an expression Neo hadn't seen in quite some time. But whatever was happening, Lana did not present herself as though this were a dire state of emergency. It's a joke about the next Game of Thrones book that is probably never going to come out. That's, if you didn't get... Sorry, Olga and Happy Days. She led him to a patch of land that he was very familiar with. I'm not sick, I was just crying earlier. Earlier in the stream, I mean. They'd harvested plants from this spot 6,000 times at the very least. Are the plants starting to stop regenerate? But on their viewing the spot today, Neo thought he was imagining things. A piece of his tongue got caught in his throat and he coughed lightly. See?
Yes. If this is true, that certainly is odd.
The outer perimeter of this spot, where plants have been growing wildly for as long as they could remember. The area was starting to recede ever so slightly. It was hard to tell for those who might not have been as immediately acquainted with this plant patch as they were. But there were less plants growing here than ever before. That was a fact.
Well, something like this. I'm not sure I ever expected it to really happen. I suppose I was wrong. The plants are not endlessly renewable after all. But they have lasted a vast amount of time, though, haven't they? For that, I am very grateful. I suppose it's possible that one day they may all disappear, if this small dry patch is any indication.
Yeah. I came to the same conclusion. Don't hate me, Neo. But it took me a few days to come and see you about this.
Huh? Why?
I didn't know how you'd react. It's been so long, so tremendously long, since we've had any form of change. I've just been nervous about reopening old wounds.
I'm not mad at all. After all this time, you know that you can come to me with whatever you want to talk about, right?
Oh, I know.
So, what do you think about this?
I've been giving a lot of thought, actually. And, well, things are going to be a lot less fun in here without new materials to work with. Aren't they?
That's true. I said this before, but the plant's versatility is what transformed this place into a paradise for me.
Me too. We've had a lot of fun over the years, haven't we?
No, I've had a miserable time. 0 out of 10 would not recommend.
Oh yeah, miserable, huh? All right, Neo. I'm gonna ask you a question. And I want your honest, unfiltered opinion on the matter. What do you think would happen if we went into the void? They'd lived here for decades together, yes. They talked about everything under the sun. Almost everything. But this was a sensitive topic not brought up much because of the implications it held.
Well, there's a couple of different possibilities. The first, the one which I felt in my gut so long ago, was that we'd cease to exist. That's the simplest explanation. But with what happened to our friends 50 years ago...
50 years? I thought this was 33.
And those messages? Perhaps that is not the case. Of course, we know that axolotls do not die from merely being sent into the void. But that last message, damn near stamped into my skull. If you want to die,
if you want your soul to be erased and your mind ripped apart from the seams, you can step into the void. It will kill those of you who are not chosen.
Who knows if this RB person is even still alive, though? It might be that he died a long time ago. Maybe there's someone else outside the void now. We have no idea how this world of ours works. Not really. And if that message is true, then we'll die if we step through it. Well, I guess we'd be tempting fate, wouldn't we? So maybe we run into RB. Maybe we don't. It certainly would be an adventure, though, wouldn't it?
It would. It might be wishful thinking. But what if I could find out the truth about everything? Once and for all. For a long time, I just wanted to live a peaceful life with you guys. And we did. And it was wonderful. But those age-old questions, the ones you've been talking about since the very start, I've grown curiouser and curiouser over the years. What if I could find out the truth of those old secrets?
Well, you know me. That would be a dream come true. So, tell me, Lana, what's with the question? Really?
Just a thought? That's all?
Really? Is that your just a thought face? Are you forgetting what you said to me just a moment ago?
Okay. You know what I'm thinking then. You know what I'm about to ask. He looked at her carefully, and then he smiled.
I'm ready, whenever you are.
They're gonna go into the void if all the plants die.
We've lived long, fulfilling lives. I've done everything I've ever wanted to do. Created most of the things I wanted to create in here. Ages ago, I would have been frightened beyond my wits to enter the void myself. But now I'm ready. I'm ready for the next adventure. As long as you're with me.
Oh wow. I'm starting to ship these two.
Whatever that may be beyond the curtain.
Stress left her face completely now. She now understood that Nia was on the same page as her. Well, it's not like it hasn't been absolutely wonderful living here with you and Oxy for so long. But, like you said, I feel very fulfilled with everything. Although, we don't have to leave right now, right?
Of course not. We could have a whole 5-year going away party, and I suspect we shall. And besides, we should run this by Axie first.
Want to go now? The least we could do is tell him that the grass is starting to dry up.
Let's go.
Axie was in his old corner. Doing his own planning the holiday in the most modest house he had built for himself many years back. Oh, good. They got their own houses.
Knock, knock.
I know it's the season for work, but we've come to pay you a visit. There's something that we'd like to talk about.
Sup, fools? Thought you guys would be busy with the holiday so close and all. What gifts?
They led him to the patch of grass and showed him the discovery they'd made. And so, I don't know. Feels like we should at least consider that option. But yeah, Axie went in there before.
Really? The void? You give up all this, our perfect lives together, just to jump inside the void? Are you nuts?
Chill, man. It was just an idea. And besides, it doesn't have to be anytime soon.
Have you forgotten? I've been in the void. It's a nightmarish hellscape of endless torment. It's not somewhere you want to go. The void's one of those things I'm likely to never forget. I still wake up in a sweat thinking about it sometimes. It's that awful. My mind instinctively screams no whenever the void is brought up.
I think I understand what you're talking about, Axie. I still haven't forgotten the feeling of it either. All those times I got close to it. I could feel myself slipping away too. But in the worst case scenario, is slipping away so bad? After the long, wonderful life we've lived? And we're not talking about doing anything rash anytime soon. We know from what happened that the void isn't the end of all life forever. Perhaps it won't be the end for us either. Maybe it's a little like that roller coaster we built 20 years ago. You were so scared to go on it at first, but once you did, you had a great time and couldn't stop. I don't know. I've pondered it over and over, on and off throughout the years, and it feels like the void might be the inevitable conclusion to our lives here. I don't think it's the end, though. Don't let your heads get too big now, but I like you guys too much for this to truly be the end of us. There are other places I want to experience before I die. I'd like the tank to be a wonderful long chapter in our lives, but not the whole thing.
Lana, you agree with him, don't you? That we should consider going in there?
More or less. Yeah. Like Neo said, things don't have to end now. We can end things on our own terms. I can't guarantee anything about what happens when we step foot in there, but I doubt it's the end. We're just going on a new adventure. It's a gamble, I guess.
And I've never been one for gambling.
Are you forgetting that poker game in 26 when you bet your own corner on a bluff and lost?
Fury flashed on Axie's face. Of course, neither of us would make you come with us if we decided to go. That being said, I don't know. It would feel so odd if we did something that major without you by our side. We're all one big family, Axie.
I agree with Lana. It would be weird, but neither of us would want to make you do something you didn't want to do.
The triplets?
Well, we've never had to take care of them even once. Although with the plants disappearing, their food sources being drained. I wonder though, if they really even need the food to live. Yeah, like seriously. I wouldn't like you guys don't even need food. The three of us can eat plant-made food as well, and lots of it too. But we don't need it for sustenance.
I doubt we could drag the three of them into the void with us, even if we had to. We've tried to get a hold of them before, and it's never worked out.
I knew you were going to say that, Void Dweller. I knew it.
They definitely struggle and get free, and it wouldn't be pretty.
So you would be content with leaving them here alone forever and ever?
Axie.
No, Axie. I'm sure we'll come up with something. What's up, dude? Talk to us, alright?
I'm just not ready, alright? I'm not ready to go to that cursed place. And I certainly ain't ready to be alone either. Does it gotta be this way?
Certainly not right now. Look, there's still plenty of plants around these parts, and from now on we'll be super careful about how we ration them. But we can't stop the triplets from eating. In a couple of years, when the tank is a little sparser, perhaps then I'll set Finn into the void. I won't force you to go. I can't force you to go. But I hope you'll be able to make peace with my decision then. I'm sorry about this, Axie. Truly. If, when the time comes, the void is a sliding door, then certainly... Certainly I'll come back.
Certainly.
I choose. We'll bring sustenance for the kids too. They need a future as well.
You can't go in, Lana. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to accept that.
He glanced at Lana, then huffed away.
He can't just make your choice for you.
I know. But this sucks, doesn't it? It's been so long. So long since a rift has formed between us. Once upon a time, Axie may have liked the void, may have even found it pretty. But the longer he stayed in the tank, the more he grew to despise it. It was the one thing that could tear away his precious life. His precious Lana. His precious Neo. His home. Whenever he was feeling down or angry or sad or annoyed. His thoughts always turned to the void. Unintentional rhymes. The day when Neo made him enter it so many years ago when he was young. It replayed over and over in his mind. Going into the void would result in nothing but a scary death. He wouldn't allow his wonderful friends to die that way no matter what. The void was evil, even though on the holidays he'd once enjoyed. Probably that one. The ones which focused on the void have become unsettling to him. He wished the void would just go away once and for all. Then there would be no way to leave the tank. Lana and Neo, on the other hand, began talking things over in earnest. In that time, they developed a new sense of kinship that was only between the two of them. They talked vividly about the day that life in the tank would change again. They talked not of death, but adventures to come. But nobody wanted to disturb the peace of the heaven they had created. Heaven that was only possible because the three of them had forged it together. The heaven that was slowly starting to feel like hell. Oh God. Oh no. Uh-oh, distorted music. Oh boy. A few more years passed by. Although there wasn't a conflict between the three of them on the surface, the days didn't feel the same as they once had. In the last few years in the tank, time itself felt like it moved much slower than the years when they were enjoying life. There was a blanket of anxiety over nearly everything they did. They celebrated the holidays in the month of Hutsa, Actuary, R&D, Beautification, and GATS normally, all without fault. On the surface, but the difference between those time periods was stark. No matter how much they tried forcing it, the events were never as jovial and full of wonder as before. The magic of the Golden Age had come and gone. And all they were doing now was grasping for the little bit of pixie dust left behind. There was a dark cloud hanging over them, even as they did the most mundane activities together. Every word they spoke, every fun conversation they had, every game they played, and every invention they worked on together, it was now polluted by that intangible tension. It wasn't as though Neo and Lana loved Axie any less. They just wanted him to understand their feelings. They wanted him to accept their decision to move on and seek out somewhere new. They were growing weary of the same life. The plants too began to wither up as Neo had predicted. Even the new rationing system they came up with couldn't stop the plants from drying up. And their bodies, oh really? Oh God. So they're physically finally starting to, oh no. They were starting to break down too. Not from old age, but something even worse. Oh God. The uncertain dread loomed and festered over the tank for a few years. Oh no. And slowly but surely they began lacking in plants to do maintenance on the structures they had already created. Their supply of plants to work with was peanuts compared to what had once been. Oh no. And as a result, the projects which had before been so intensive dwindled in complexity as well. Eventually, Innovation Day was cancelled as a whole. Oh no. It felt like the tank was somehow losing its life. Yeah, it's like the structural integrity of this world. This whole world is starting to crumble. Looks like they have to go into the void. And the two who are willing to move on to the next stage of their existence realize that fact separately. If not for their love of Axie, they would have made a move much sooner than they did. Neo and Lana got together several nights, talking for hours optimistically about their futures. Sometimes they felt guilty, as if by having these meetings they were somehow betraying their friend. But the grander picture of it stretched too thin. They reassured one another that there must be better times ahead.
You know, it's not like life is so much worse than before, but things have changed. I don't fall asleep content anymore. I don't wake up with a smile on my face, ready to make the most of the day. And it's not something I can just wish away either.
I know what you mean. Things feel sort of dismal these days. It feels like lately when we all hang out, all I'm doing the whole time is forcing myself to act happy. I feel more like a crappy actor than an axolotl these days. You feel like me? It's not even just the lack of plans or the tension between us that's bothering me either. I've been getting these awful headaches too. Oh god. Yeah, it feels like the structural integrity of this universe is breaking down. And my energy, it's not the same as it once was.
Headaches, huh?
Yeah, for a while now. I thought they'd just go away on their own, but they've been getting worse. Neo felt a shiver down his spine. And all the time they had been here together, headaches had never been a normal thing. And he too felt like his body hadn't been acting optimally for some time lately. He tried to ignore it like she had, blame it on stress or whatever, but if Lana was feeling something too.
Now that you mention it, I've been feeling kind of dizzy these days too. Exhausted, maybe. The old nightmares I used to have, they've returned too. Due to that and waking up in pain these past few months, it feels like I haven't gotten a good rest in some time.
You haven't been sleeping well? Neo, I haven't been sleeping so great either, actually. Feels like no matter how much rest I get, I wake up feeling like crap. It's never been like this before.
Well, let's do what we've done with every other problem we've ever experienced in the tank. Analyze things objectively and come up with a solution. We've all slept in different places in the tank over the years. Do you happen to have a specific area in which you sleep better?
That's a good, reasoning Happy Days, like if the life support is shutting down or something. Honestly, the big bed in my corner is where I sleep best. But only when we all sleep in there together, as a family. I always wake up really refreshed when we spend a night there together.
I was hoping you'd say that, because I feel the same way. Something about that place is so peaceful. It's been a while since we've all cuddled together and slept, huh? Nearly half a decade, if my count is right.
Yeah, I missed it. It had once been a normal occurrence, but sleeping in the bed together became somewhat a special tradition. When they slept there together, it was always after naturally passing out at the end of a particularly memorable day, such as the ending of one of their long role-playing campaigns. Without even realizing it until now, the bed had been a part of their most wholesome moments. The three axolotls cuddled and fell asleep together, There are several times of the years, and it's always been the three of them.
Want to try taking a nap?
I guess. But, it might be weird doing this without Axie.
Yes.
Then again, these days it might be weirder to do this with him. He sure kept to his own lately, huh? Probably not too much fun without plants to work with.
Yes, I hope he's doing okay. It's not like I don't love him, but
No, you don't have to say it. I understand. I still love him too.
so what are we waiting for? Let's try to de-stress and get some good sleep for once. Chill out and start things over with a refreshed mind once we wake up. Doesn't that sound nice?
Don't sound too caring now. You don't want to steal my style. He smiled. They felt each other's warmth and closed their eyes. But after 2 hours of lying there, Lana spoke up. Nothing, huh?
Nope. I'm wide awake too.
I've been thinking. Maybe these headaches aren't coming from the stress, or the lack of sleep specifically. Is it just me, or has the water felt kind of heavy lately?
The water? I haven't really been paying attention.
Because he hadn't consciously realized it. Neo didn't know until now. He decided to swim forward, and in that moment, he could feel a pinch of exhaustion strike him right at his core. That was weird. He'd been feeling odd, surely, but this amount of exhaustion was unreal. Was his body starting to lose strength? Oh no. He felt sick all over. There was nothing he wanted to do more than lay down again. In fact, it felt like his body was begging him to do so.
You're correct. The water, the air, the atmosphere, something feels heavy. This isn't right. I've been in here too damn long, and I know this body too damn well.
I think it might be time to talk to him. Yet as they turned around, they saw Axie was already there. Oh my god, Axie changed color. What the fuck?
Sleeping?
Oh. Hey, Axie. You and I weren't feeling so well, so we tried getting some sleep.
I see.
So, Axie, we were wondering, how do you feel today? Right now.
How do I feel? What do you mean?
Well, a moment ago, you and I were, well, talking about how we hadn't been feeling so great lately.
I feel fine.
Are you sure?
Yep. It's just another day and I feel just fine.
But he wasn't normal and they could see that. Yeah, he's turned white. His skin, which was always vibrant and full of color, looked off and dull today. They knew something terrible was going on, even if Axie himself had been trying his best to ignore it. You might be fine, but Neo and I had been experiencing some very odd sensations lately. It's like we want to do things, but can't. We're extremely tired, but no matter how much sleep we get, we still wake up exhausted. It feels like a weight is being slowly lifted onto my chest. I have no idea how it even got there in the first place.
Yes. For me, it's like 60 years of aging all hit at once. But if we were aging, we'd have a different appearance, I think. I don't want to feel old and weary.
There's a fog around us. We might not be able to see it yet, but it's there all the same. That's possible, Gaiatrice. Maybe.
Alright, let's say just for the sake of posterity that I believe you. About this old fog or whatever. What would cause a fog to suddenly form? We've been living in the tank for ages now. Ages and ages. What could have changed now? Nothing. Nothing has changed. You're overreacting. Whatever might be happening to you guys is just a small bump. I'm sure everything will just go back to normal soon.
I don't think it's that simple, Axie. We can't just wish away this weight in our chests. I think it's starting to make us really sick. You remember, Liam, don't you? Oh God, they're mines!
Yeah? But Liam was the only one sick. Not us.
What you just said a second ago? There has been a change. There has been a change in the tank. Follow me.
It's gotta be the triplets doing shit. Just as he thought, just as he feared. The piece of floor was drying up completely and the plants were withering away with it. Oh, I know what it is. Less plants, so oxygen isn't circulating right. There were only remnants of what had bloomed there before.
I'm starting to see a correlation.
It's like freaking environmental decay.
This is only an idea, but maybe all this time the plants have been keeping us alive.
It seemed like a likely explanation to Lana, too. Actually, she had thought the same thing many times in the past. Could the plants have been cleaning the water in the tank? Is the whole reason we're alive in the first place because of those wonderful plants?
I see. Now the plants, our filter is dying out. And along with them, so are we.
Axie stepped up.
If this theory of yours really is true, then how do you explain that?
It's the fucking triplets. They're evil. He gestured toward the direction of the void. It was a single hour of the day where the triplets were awake. They zigged and weaved through the buildings, swimming erratically at top speed.
Why are they being affected by this so-called lack of energy? This weight or brain fog or whatever?
Well, who knows? There could be a lot of reasons. They might not be affected because they're young. Could be because they eat the plants on a regular basis. Even if we're all axolotls, the triplets have always been a very different sort than us. They don't have the same needs as us, and they live a very different life from us.
Maybe we make the kids stop eating the plants and they might grow back. You ever think of that?
I can't say for sure, but I don't think that'll work either. The triplets have already proven that they're too fast for us to control. And besides, we don't know if they need these plants to live or not.
This patch may be drying up. We may be experiencing some terrible symptoms. But there are still enough plants in the tank, for them at least, to live on for a very long time.
Look, Just give it some time, you guys. I'm sure everything will work out fine if we just sit back and do absolutely nothing. Seriously, that's the key to solving all problems. Something wrong? You just sit and wait for it to go away on its own. And then everything is good forever. Things will go back to normal somehow, I'm sure. Or just, deny that there's a problem in the first place. And say to anyone who thinks there's a problem that they're crazy. Things have always gone back to normal somehow. Just don't do anything weird, all right?
Axie swam off and left them alone. With that, the gap between the three of them widened even more. The day which had once been so precious now became dreadful to get through. Lana and Neo felt helpless. They loved Axie too much to do anything, so for a while they pushed themselves. For the next 3 months they pushed themselves out of bed and tried to attend their regular activities. But at night they suffered silently. They held on for his sake. Leaving the tank didn't seem right without being on good terms with Axie. And while he frequently kept to himself in the last few months, at least he seemed to be doing okay. They, on the other hand, were having the worst time of their entire lives. Their bodies began to get weaker each day. They would swim less, they were talking less, and the insomnia was horrifying. Even though they haven't ever eaten, their stomachs began to rumble and weigh down on them, and their throats began to hurt in kind. Their minds, their thoughts, their ideas, their communication skills, which they had taken for granted, all began to fade as well. Oh God, they're losing their sentience. Construction? That was completely out of the question. Swimming itself soon became a luxury. Some days they could only make it a couple of feet away. Other days they couldn't leave at all. Oh my God. Axie avoided them on those dead days. More and more they sat hunched over inside the lab, unable to move, unable to think correctly. They started to shiver. The water wasn't always this cold, was it? With their throats hurting, their backs and stomachs aching. They could only imagine someone was trying to choke them, slowly allowing them just enough air to live. But not enough for any quality of life. Then started the hallucinations. They imagined someone was watching them. Uh-oh. I think we might get the eye jump scare again. Uh-oh. They attempted to comfort each other, but even that didn't work. One day they stared at each other, even realizing they didn't have the strength to speak. But for most of the days, most of the time, they were lucid enough to talk. In hushed whispers, when they had the strength to communicate, decided upon a plan. The day the plan approached quickly. Neo, I think it's time. The days had been agonizingly slow lately. They were even starting to lose perspective on how great the Golden Age truly was.
But, actually, we haven't decided on what we should do. Do we drag him in there with us?
Even if he doesn't realize it, soon enough he'll be just as sick as we are. But if he really doesn't want to come, we'll just have to find a solution from inside the void and bring it back to him.
Hey, one more question, Lana, while I have the energy. It's about that feeling that we're being watched. Do you still feel it too?
Yeah, a little. But it's got to be a delusion. Oh God. Oh no, there's the eye again. Oh god, it's really scary eye. Neo felt like the weaker he got, the more likely it was that a bloodthirsty eye would pounce out of nowhere and take him away. Was something like that in the tank the whole time and they never had noticed? That just wasn't possible. The time to act is now. I'd rather take my chances jumping into the void than deal with another second of this.
If we die, then we'll die. But I want to live. I'll fight as hard as I can for that chance. I've been thinking a lot about Liam lately too. Is what we're experiencing similar to what happened to him all those years ago?
Maybe. I miss him more than ever. And the suffering he went through probably makes ours look like kittens on a rainy day.
It's not fair to compare suffering. Remember? Man, you'd have loved everything we made in this tank. All the buildings, the amusement centers, the inventions.
I was scared of forgetting about him in the past. But those two, Liam and Egg, they're unforgettable.
So is that other character, even if I've never seen his face. The one who calls himself RB.
The one who promised to take you home. The tank was my home. But I'd like a new home now.
Gather up your strength. Our last swim is close.
It was finally time to enter the void. They were well aware that they were dying, and they would risk their last remaining moments on the gamble of a lifetime. If they were able to enter through the void freely, then they would come back to help Axie and the triplets. The lack of clean water wasn't prejudiced. Eventually it would get them too. Before everyone succumbed to the sickness, they needed to help them. They would save everyone. That was their hope anyway. Here we go. Confrontation. Oh God, the water.
So, this is it.
They took in the sights one last time. It was a huge toll for them to be talking out in the open waters. But despite their bodies' protest, this was something they knew they had to do. The layout of the tank had changed drastically throughout the years. They had built it up from nothing and turned it into a grand city. And then smashed that city down a number of times to try a different look. But even if the tank had seen a number of aesthetics in its time, what they saw now could only be described as a mess. Even if many of the buildings were starting to decay, these were still the remains of some fairly impressive-looking structures. To say farewell was hard. The plants had allowed them to focus their willpower to create nearly anything they had ever dreamed of. I'm a little biased, but I think Huey and Oxy The three of us. We did a pretty great job in here.
What are you going to miss the most?
Well, I always like pretending to shop. Do you remember that time when you and Oxy held an entire boutique for me in total secrecy?
Yes, that sure was a pain, hiding it from you for all these months, making up excuses and pretending to do other things.
You led me to the mall as I was blindfolded for what I assumed was just another game and yelled, "Surprise!" It was quite the shock, you know. I had no idea you guys have been planning something for so long. You two treated me like a VIP. Told me I could pick any 2 items in the shop and keep them forever. It was a small touch, but I really liked how you guys didn't let me keep everything. It made the 2 items that I did keep seem special. For me, that day stands out as a wonderful memory. It was so sweet. So incredibly sweet. You guys went to that much trouble just to give me a special day for no reason.
Hey now, you did equally impressive things for me. And the 2 of us together did equally impressive things for Axie.
Oh, I think Happy Days was confusing you with T, who thinks that they have COVID. They might have COVID. Let me ask you then. What was one of your favorite moments?
Jeez, there's too many to pick, really. Do you remember the wizard Bakir?
Oh my God! They did a role play. They did a role play based on. Oh, you're from Hinamizawa Forum. Okay. Well, you don't have to be so. You don't have to be so like cagey about it. Happy Days.
Do you remember the wizard Bakir?
Well, of course. That campaign was one of the best we ever had.
Yes. We had a lot of long role-playing adventures over the years, but that one really had it all. Betrayal, romance, action, long developing plots and mysteries. And the payoff at the end was amazing. A good story is something incredible. That campaign succeeded in immersing me in a whole different world. It was a fun couple of years. Playing the Kingdom of Glass with you two was really something special.
It almost makes you wonder what happened after the end of the demo.
Yes. We worked on the campaign so long. Sometimes I forgot it was based on that old VR demo. But I mean, it was only the basis and setting. Everything else we just made up along the way.
The hero thief and the lowly healer. I remember they had some cameo appearances too.
Yes, and I only brought them in as NPCs. But there was that one time they were part of an important subplot. Remember? Looking around. It's hard to wrap my mind around all the priceless experience we've had in here. There's just too many to count.
Let's get going, Neo. Well, we can still swim. She held out her hand and he took it. And together for the last time, they walked towards the void. They swam slowly. Not just because their bodies ached, but because they were taking in all the familiar sights along the way, trying to etch them into memory, just in case they were unable to return. It needs to be said, they did not look for Axie because they knew exactly where he'd be. Uh-oh. Oh, the VR game, because they were reminiscing about it. They made a whole campaign about it.
Axie?
Axie.
Axie, we love you. You know that we do. But we've given you plenty of warning. And now it's time. Our bodies aren't going to last much longer here. We'll come back as soon as we're able to. We'll save you and the triplets. That's a promise.
I don't need saving. The kids don't need saving.
But
Neither of you need to go into the void. I'm telling you, just wait it out. Don't do something stupid.
withering and dying here would be the stupid thing to do. We've got to struggle. Put up a fight. We don't know what's in the void. Not really.
How many times do I have to tell you? It's only madness and death in there.
I don't think so. Not if Aang was able to come back from it. Look, even if it is just death, We gotta take the shot.
I won't let you. If you could deal with me. 1 week.
We can't do that either. Our bodies and minds are barely holding on as it is. It's now or never.
Then I guess it'll be never!
Axie. No.
You especially, Alana. Definitely not you.
Oh. I thought the obsession you had for me went away centuries ago. Axie's angry face did not falter, even at a joke.
I love you, Alana. And if you die, then it feels like I just might die too. You're more important than even my own life.
If there was one thing that would motivate Axie, it was Lana's safety. All those years ago, when Enk and Axie had their first struggle, it wasn't specifically Enk beating Lana that caused Axie to blow up. It was when Enk mentioned throwing Lana into the void. That what was caused his anger to be unleashed, that's right. And even though it'd been a while, that same sort of madness crept on him again, giving him power.
I will never let you go in there.
Axie charged toward them, and at once the pair braced for impact.
Axie, stop it! We can't waste energy fighting amongst ourselves.
But Axie knew. He would rather knock them unconscious than let them into the void.
There are two of us. We'll overcome you.
The fact that the two of them were winning, despite their weakened state, said it all. It was clearer than ever to them that Axie had been suppressing his own sickness. They felt his body breathing heavily, and his strength weakening. It didn't look like this would be a long struggle. Neo and Lana were just about to break through. Axie, I promise this doesn't change anything. One little fight doesn't mean anything.
We've had fights before. All of us. This is just another one for the books. When we next meet, we'll talk about this. Make up as we always have.
A cacophony of coughs. All their painful expulsions of air mixed together. Neo felt his chest heaving up and down, threatening to explode. But the tug of war was soon to be over, and Axie began to realize his defeat.
I won't let you guys die. What will I do without you?
You'll have to trust us, Axie. After all this time, haven't we earned your trust?
But then... Uh-oh. Lana and Neo were pushed back by an unexpected force. Oh no! Dark Axie. Oh boy. What's that? Oh no. The evil fuckers. Standing next to Axie were three figures. The triplets. Ryra and Lee.
Huh? Right.
Kids, this is not a game.
But even if it had been just a game, the kids never joined in before. So why now? All right, darlings. Just know that we're in big trouble if we don't enter the void. We're doing it for your sakes too, so you'll have to move out of the way for now.
I'm sorry we didn't get to say goodbye to you guys. But it's not a real goodbye. We'll be back soon.
All of a sudden, they, along with Axie, ran into the two weak axolotls with an incredibly strong force. It was now 2 versus 4, and Lana and Neo knew they didn't stand much of a chance against these odds.
I don't get it. They've barely acknowledged us before. Why are you guys pushing against us?
It's because they can't stand to see you kill yourselves either.
No, it's the opposite, kids. We'll die if we stay here. Neo, at this rate, we're gonna lose. But we can't give up. We gotta keep fighting with everything we've got. It wasn't a fair match. The 3 triplets were much stronger than they looked. Even if Lana and Neo had been at their full strength, the triplets could have easily overpowered them. So in this state, they had no chance. Neo and Lana were thrown back, huffing and puffing. Why? Where are you? No. I knew they were evil.
No escape. So close. Become. Optimal conditions have become unoptimal.
Oh no. Neo was doing his best to fend off Axie, just Axie, but he could do nothing for Lana, who was surrounded.
It is time. Let you become us.
I knew they were evil. The 3 of them grabbed onto her weakened legs, 2 on one leg and 1 on the other, and then they pulled. Oh no! There was a loud crack as she winced in pain. She let out a deafening scream.
What?
Neo and Axie stopped fighting the second they heard the crack. I knew they were evil. The kids had, in a matter of seconds, torn the legs cleanly off her body, and a stream of blood floated through the water, muddying everyone's vision.
What the hell? I didn't want... What?
They tossed her off the side, and Neo ran as fast as he could, even to get her.
You guys, I don't get it.
Useful before. Useless now. We've been in here long enough to gain strength. Your territory is going to be ours now.
They're fucking evil. I knew they looked creepy as hell.
No, Lana! 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 Get away from Lana! Hank, Liam, what the hell is going on? Was this your plan all along?
His mind was racing. He had no time to piece things together. He saw Neo helping an unconscious Lana a few meters away, still breathing. At least right now, Axie could see she was still breathing. The void was wide and towering. Thankfully, there were many ways to enter through it. Neo limped, and grasping Lana made it even harder to swim. They still went as far as they possibly could, heart pounding. Despite Axie shoving against them, despite the triplets ripping off on his limbs. It looked like they might get into the void after all. It's the fucking eye. The eye is super evil.
There needs to be a way to save her.
But the triplets were, if nothing else, fast swimmers. Possibilities unfolded quickly in Axie's mind. If the triplets got there first, then that would be it. They had lied to him. Their plan was to keep him here. So what? That didn't matter. The only thing that mattered right now, the only thing that made any sense, was to save Lana and Neo. He had to swim. It was a mad sprint. He had to get there first. If he didn't, then his family would die in a matter of seconds. When they saw him swimming alongside them, the triplets split up. Two went to go after Neo and Lana, and one stayed to take care of Axie. It was Ed.
Out of my way!
Axie charged forward, slamming into Ed, tumbling them both forward along the path. Ed sunk his teeth into whatever body part was nearest him, which happened to be Axie's tail. Axie's immediate instinct was to wince in pain, but his body let out a cough instead. But then he grit his teeth.
You want my tail so bad, then just take it!
It was a lucky thing that Ed bit onto his tail and not another part of his body. With the strength of Axie's legs pushing off of Ed's head for momentum, he charged forward, the tip of his tail being shredded off in the process. Oh god. The momentum that he had gained from being pushed was worth any amount of pain. It would let him reach his family a moment sooner. He was moving fast, but not fast enough. He could see up ahead that Ryra and Lee were almost there.
Lana! Lana! She's gonna really die because of me!
What the fuck?
That's not sure yet, Axie. There's nothing more I can do, is there? In this very moment, she's not dead.
Must be his like inner voice or something.
You still have time. And you still have energy. You've won almost every single race you've ever had in this tank. You even beat the triplets once, didn't you? They're already there. One last race has never stopped you. You always challenge whomever beamed you again and again. I don't care about the damn race. I care about Lana! Now move out of the way!
Lana and Neo and Ryra and Lee almost all stood in front of the void. Ryra and Lee were already having a firm grasp on Neo and Lana. All would have been lost if not for Axie's momentum. He gave it his all. He pushed and wheezed and gasped and only charged into them hard and fast. Somehow, this was enough to move all four of them. No, all five of them, with Axie included, into the cascading void in front of them. In that brief second as they hurled towards their uncertain futures, Neo and Axie made eye contact.
Thank you, Axie. We love you.
All right!
Please, come with us. I thought we could, but I was wrong. We won't be able to do this without you.
Neo had spent decades wondering about the void, theorizing, yearning to know more, and at last he dissolved into it, Lana in his arms. Axie looked around. He too had fallen into the void. Oh good, they all got in. Okay, goodbye tank. I guess that phase of the story is over. Woo! He too had fallen into the void, but he hadn't disappeared as Neo and Lana had done. It was a spitting image of that day, so long ago. Everything around him was nothingness, and his immediate reaction was panic. He quickly realized he had dragged the two triplets in here with him as well. Oh no! So they're just left. Despite his aching, despite his total exhaustion, Axie began fuming.
How could you? How could you lie to me?
Ooh.
Axie, we didn't want to reveal ourselves at this time, but now we've gotta. Remember the void, and if Lana and you were to go into it, they'll almost certainly die. Please don't let them hurt themselves. You have to promise. As someone who has been in the void, you know just how horrifying it is in there. It's a fate worse than death. It was a miracle we made it here. Yes, you're right. I did used to be Ink, but I've changed.
Yeah, right.
Thanks to the love you've given me.
Yeah, bullshit.
And me, I'm Liam. As for me, well, if you've read about me, I'm...
Yeah, the fuck right. I don't believe this for a second. They're bullshitting.
Thank you for building all those wonderful things for me, Axie. Just like you said, just like you thought, I've adored them. Please keep our identities a secret from them. We'll reveal ourselves when we're ready. We trust you, Axie. We trust you to save our family.
That was all a lie, wasn't it?
Oh my god. So that was a flashback. Oh my god. Wow.
You guys weren't Anchor Liam, so who are you?
When did that happen?
Counterintelligence. A cancer. The cure. No. We're toenail clippings. That's it.
What does that mean?
I don't understand. Why are you hurting us?
Much easier. But the tank is already near death. So RB will have to make a choice.
I knew it. The eye is something, yeah, is like the enemy of RB.
Come.
They went towards him and Axie backed away. All alone, cornered inside the void at that moment, he felt a sense of helplessness dawn over him.
What's stopping you from joining the others? I don't know how. This body isn't letting me, just like last time. Just cough it up. You're sick, aren't you? You need to accept that and learn to trust yourself.
Wait, what?
I guess you're right. Even if I tried to ignore it. So cough it up quick. They're almost here.
Did he swallow something? There was something stuck in his throat. He puked, and out came himself? Just like that time all those years ago. What the fuck? What is he talking about?
Thank you, Axie.
Almost immediately, he could feel his body starting to disassemble itself. What the fuck is going on? Instead of fighting the darkness, he decided to try and embrace it.
But before I leave, I knew you. You want us to do one last somersault, don't you?
He tried, but his body was in the process of leaving. Aside from all that, it was too weak right now.
Then I'll just have to do one for you, won't I? That's what family's for.
Axie smiled. He would listen to his gut.
If I can't do a somersault now, then this must not be the end. Let me do one for you.
Hell yeah! Fuck these fuckers.
It's the least I could do.
Press S to escape! Ah! I knew those creepy ass things were evil. They're minions of the Eye. Act 4, Matters of Truth. Oh my god, you guys. Oh good, I can save here. All right, you guys. Wow, that was certainly climactic. I don't know how much is left in the story overall, but wow. That was a terrifying climax. And like, now they're all going to be with RB. I guess to fight against the evil forces of the Eye. Oh my god, a lot happened, certainly, didn't it? I can't wait until next time. Where we continue with Act 4 and see what happens when they're all back together again. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, I will say, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You're all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.